Good morning. I'm higher vibrations and so are you. And this is a list of the Ascension Symptoms that many of us are experiencing right now. The date today is April 26th, 2022. There's a lot of stuff that's been maintaining or continuing to occur for quite some time for a lot of us. And the most commonly experienced ones are, of course, the dizziness, the fatigue, the ear ringing, different levels. Sometimes it's like underwater hearing. It sounds like you're underwater, or you just temporarily you lose most ability to hear from one ear for a short time. Often for me, when that's occurring, the other ear is actually got some pretty interesting ringing happening. So those are some really common ones, as well as sleep disturbance, hot, cold flashes. The sleep disturbance stuff has been ever evolving in this experience for me and for many of us. Right now, the experience is that I feel like I'm eternally tired, but then there's this strange excitement in the air once it's finally a time that I could go to sleep, and there's just too much enjoyment in the moments that I just keep myself awake really late. And then once I'm sleeping, I go into that dream time space and I'm doing like something really amazing, and we're having experiences in astral, and I'm brought back and I'm woken up like every hour and a half, every 2 hours, like all night long, and so there's just that extra fatigue that's going on right now, and just tiredness, exhaustion. Some other stuff that's been happening with some people's sleep disruption stuff is that they just can't go to sleep. It's almost an insomnia, which is similar to what I'm experiencing, though I find it's an enjoyable experience for me. There's also the just waking up still feeling tired, even though you got a whole night's sleep, just still really tired. A lot of us are experiencing it different ways, based primarily, I would say, on how our experience is occurring at that moment, because all of us are doing different things for different clearings and areas for ourselves at this time. So, and then also the humming and the vibrating of earth that a lot of us have been experiencing for a while. That was one of the first things that I really noticed years ago. I just didn't realize what I was noticing, but that's also can be a disruptive thing. You're almost asleep, and also the twitching. We have these muscle groups that are being affected right now as we're transmutating all this stuff. It's causing it to like shake and vibrate out. And like what is actually occurring in that instant is that there's an energy that we are clearing and rising up. And it's been here too long and it's ready to go, and it's stagnant energy. And as we bring it up in the areas in our form or near to our form that haven't been addressed completely yet, have more of it's a thicker, denser space for these energies to go through. And so it causes this friction to occur as it's making its way up, because there's resistance there. That's all that is, and it's also a sign for us. Okay, what's that body area represent for me, and like there's a lot of different examples. For instance, if you are having it in the back, it tends to be that there's a stabbing in the back kind of experience that needs to be forgiven and looked at, just at least just forgiven, so if there's some type of betrayal that you're still haven't forgiven, including forgiving yourself for it, that's the sign for that. And so on and so forth. Burden on the shoulders, carrying too much burden, as well as areas that are being activated. So we're having chakras that are being activated right now too, right? So we have like this full body activation, because there's like 144 chakras that we have access to. We just haven't been utilizing them, and at least with intention in most cases. And so as that stuff's coming on, we are just filling the space and finding who we truly are in those moments, which I'm really enjoying this. It's causing me to have difficulty in focus. That's like a big one right now. Like I'm finding myself so easily distracted, and also in mid-sentence forgetting what I'm saying, and like even though there's a momentum, and like including also losing vocabulary. I've always been very articulate, and in waves I've had it over the past couple of years, really, when there's a period of time where I'm noticing how much of a struggle it is to communicate. And it's not simply that because this is also true, as we're getting into this higher frequency space, we're realizing how many of the words that we use are full of baggage, that the definition was kind of hijacked and created it to mean something with more negativity or not quite in alignment with what we're doing here. But also completely losing entire, like really easy words and not being able to reach it. It's just so uncommon for me. And that's happened a handful of times. Tongue stuff. I've been having this experience where my tongue, there's some kind of unpleasantness happening with it, and like a flavor or something. And I've actually talked to a lot of people on these Zoom meetings that we do every week. We do it every Sunday and every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then they're free. Just a bunch of us starseeds getting together and talking, and it's really fun. Usually about 2 hours long. But I brought it up in one of those meetings, and a lot of other people said, yes, me too. So I was like, okay, that really is an ascension symptom. It's really strange. It's like my mouth just doesn't taste very good. And although I have increased my water intake substantially over the course of the past couple of years, really, but the past month, I suppose, drinking more water, I'm wanting to drink more of it just to clean the flavor from my mouth. And it's also triggered some weird diet stuff for me. I'm going through periods where my body wants to go through a fasting. It just, there's not really a desire truly to eat, but with this flavor in my mouth, I'm finding myself eating quite a bit more than my body really wants me to. It's really strange. On top of all of the extra water increase, there's a period or a thing happening with a lot of us right now where we're actually retaining the water too. So I'm really bloated, and it's just a really strange thing that's going on right now. Something else with diet that's started for me years ago, but is changing from one kind of diet to another is really common in the awakening experience. I started out as a full-on carnivore, and now I'm basically a vegan, and it wasn't any ethical choices or anything. Just over a series of many months, my body slowly showed that she was rejecting this kind of meat, then that kind of meat, and that kind of food, and this kind of food, until I found an alignment where I'm in alignment, where my body really wants and what it doesn't want. And as I've been on that venture, I've come to find here I am a vegan. So, that's something else that's really interesting that's happened to a lot of us, as well as going through periods of fasting and then also a period where you really need to eat. There's a planetary alignment, series of planetary alignments that are coming up in the next little while. And we're really excited to see what kind of energies those bring in. There's, it's all through the month, starting, I believe the last day of April, and then into May 1st, we're having the first, I think it's Venus and Jupiter, they're going to kiss. And that's going to be really cool to see and experience. As all this stuff's lining up, I've been feeling these energies kind of like rising up, and it's causing me to be in a required space of meditation more often. And when I refuse to go because I kind of feeling encouraged or compelled to go into a place of meditation, but I'm engaged, like I'm like, no, I'm busy, I will notice that as soon as I say kind of like, I'm not going to do that right now, I'll get headaches, like bad headaches that require me to lay down and close my eyes. And as soon as I go to a place of meditation, my headache's gone. But there's also this, because this is who I am, then okay, I'm better now. Now I can sit back up and go back to what I was doing. Headaches back. And it's an encouragement to say, no, please, it's time for you to meditate right now. And the meditation experiences have changed so much as these energies have come in. One point in particular, I'm noticing that I'm really enjoying it a lot more. And meditation isn't the same as it was before. Once one realizes that meditation isn't simply sitting in silence and having the discipline to not have thoughts, because that would be impossible. Instead, we acknowledge that as we stand in the middle of a very busy, bustling New York City road of all these pedestrians walking back and forth, instead of pulling one of those strangers over to engage with you, to acknowledge it as it is and so on, but instead to let those strangers move by, just continue on as the strangers that they are, unattached. They have nothing to do with me. They're simply thoughts walking by, nameless faces in a crowd. And we do the same thing with our thoughts, simply going into a place where they are there, they exist, but to release them as they come. It's becoming something much more powerful lately. The sun has become brighter for me. For a while, we've been watching it change and alter, and there's been periods where you can just look at it with your naked eye and see like chunks missing out of it, or like also I'm seeing a lot of rainbows around them, like a full orb rainbow around them, as well as rainbows. There's a lot more rainbows in this world these days than I noticed before anyway. The rainbow element of seeing, it's almost like looking at an aura around a person, but there's this hue of rainbow around all of the objects, especially like plants and the clouds, and around the edges of the mountains, the trees, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see those rainbows. And the clouds look different now too. There's a lot happening to a lot of us right now, and as we're feeling these irritations flaring up, it's not a bad thing. We're feeling there's been a big new wave of awakening individuals, and it's a thing to celebrate. It's beautiful. How many new people are waking up now? And they're still connected. They still have cords heavily placed in the 3D experience. And so with them comes some of those 3D heavier expressions or feelings or experiences. And while we're feeling their excitement and their awakening, we're also feeling those undertones, those denser experiences too. And it feels very much like depression. It's like this, whoa, this heavy, it comes over you for a minute. And what's amazing and fascinating about that is that experience that you're feeling and it feels like depression, that's them right now for the first time having their best day ever. Like, that's where we came from. That was regular. That's a good day. That's being happy. To where we are now. And we're so far from that experience that it feels very heavy. It feels so much more profound than it felt, would have felt even a month ago. So just don't be alarmed. It's beautiful. And the most important thing to remember is all about love. God is love. Nothing but the most purest, beautiful ball of love. From that love came us. And the opposite of that love is fear. And so as we experience these symptoms, as we experience these changes in our understanding and our knowing and our way of interpreting the reality before us, instead of doing perhaps this knee-jerk response to do with fear or extra caution or anxiety, to do it with love. As we send love to it, not only do we create this space of higher experience for us at that time, but we are saying we are standing in our power, and we are going forth. We are not letting the fear pull us back. And it's okay if the fear does. Sometimes it triggers so quickly. But just remember, a lot of us are going through the same thing, and it just gets better. Don't give up. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for your service. I hope you're having a lovely journey. Aho blessings.